Okay, Shalom, Shalom, Kwam Yasha'Allah, Koholoim La Yahweh, H.I.M, Yahweh Shai, H.I.M, Kahakodash, double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. Just want to say the waters for the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai to the best of their ability. This is Yachanan the Waf. Just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And just this article was in the Guardian. It says Israel's ecocide in Gaza sends this message: even if we stop dropping bombs, you couldn't live here. So, pretty much what it's going off into is that, H.I.M, the so-called white race, is doing what they were designed to do, and that's to kill, steal, and destroy overall. So these people are actually destroying what would be considered the Holy Land, which we're not advocating for no Palestinians or anything like that, because really they're, in reality, Esau is reaping what these Palestinians, they're reaping what they've sown, just like these Edomites that's giving them that business, they're going to reap what they've been sowing. It's just the Lord is using these particular Edomites to give them that business for what they've done to the children of Israel, because the Lord hasn't forgot about any of you nations. All you nations have played a part in the destruction of the children of Israel, which are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and those are what we call speckled bird, or those that look like the other nations because of the scattering of the Israelites. So it's not a color thing, but we are all the children of Israel. But you're going to pay for what you've done to the children of Israel. It's just that simple, because the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, they don't return void, man. They go forth. They do exactly what he sent them forth to do. You can't change it. There's nothing you can do about it. These Christians with this, the Lord is good all the time, that's a complete damn lie, man. Okay, so let's just get into a little bit of the article. I mean, overall, they're just destroying the land, the vegetation, the food source, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? But we can read a little bit of it. It says, a landless people and peopleless land. These, it appears, are the aims of the Israeli government in Gaza. There are two means by which they are achieved. The first is the mass killing and expulsion of the Palestinians. The second is rendering the land uninhabitable. Alongside the crime of genocide, another great horror unfolds: ecocide. It says, while the destruction of buildings and infrastructure in Gaza is visible in every video we see, less visible is the parallel destruction of ecosystems and means of subsistence. Right? Before the October 7th atrocity that triggered the current assault on Gaza, about 40% of its land was farmed. Despite its extreme population density, Gaza was mostly self-sufficient in vegetables and poultry, and met much of the population's demand for olives, fruit, and milk. But last month, the UN reported that just 1.5% of its agricultural land now remains both accessible and undamaged. That's roughly 200 hectares, the only remaining area directly available to feed more than 2 million people. So, and we know that it's all by design, but why are these people, you're supposed to be upholding the scriptures, man. So let's go into this real quick. Let me see, I'm going to pull up the blue letter. Let's just grab a quick scripture on those that destroy the land will be destroyed. I want to say that's, what is it? Yep, Revelation 11:18, it says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. See, the Lord, he got it out for you Edomites, because you have completely destroyed the earth. Now, what do you think he's going to do about you destroying his holy land, though? That land that's his favorite, out of all the pits of the earth, so to speak, roughly paraphrasing. What do you think he's going to do to you people? Why aren't you, you're supposed to be the holy people. You went back to the Holy Land. People should be doing better. You know what I'm saying? Even though they will be paying, supposedly paying you tribute, they will still be drinking better water, eating better fruits and vegetables, foods, you know what I'm saying? Poultry, fish, They would still be eating better than this slop that people eating today. Your air quality will be far better. All this climate change bullshit y'all talking about will be eradicated because you supposedly will have the you know the answers to the problems. The scriptures is the answers to the problems, man. You know, the new covenant, the law, statutes, and commandments written on your minds and your hearts. You're totally opposite of what the scriptures say. So we know that these people don't fit the prophecies of the scriptures, man. And even in their own literature, they'll tell you that they're not the real Israelites. They'll say that they're Israelis, but they'll never say that they're Israelites because they know that they don't come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You can chat GPT that right now. You can AI overview that, and it'll give you that answer right off the jump that these people are not descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These people descend from Abraham, Isaac, and Esau. These are Edomites. They are not Israelites. And you have to come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob for that promise, man. And they've just, pretty much overall, they've done what Esau does: steal, kill, and destroy. They stole that land. And again, those Palestinians, they don't have no business there neither because it's not their land neither. Now, one thing I will say too, because these people, they got up and they walked out on Benjamin, we call him Benjamin Netanyahu, but a lot of countries got up and walked out on Israel. Why the guy was making his speech, and that's something that you never would have seen before. So that's letting you know that Esau, he's losing in that game of the war on words. You know what I'm saying? He's losing that narrative as far as like him being able to hold down all the information and give you what he wants you to hear. Now people are online and on these social media sites, and they just they're seeing shit and they can't control it. It's too much. It's just too much, man. You got billions of people online just going in every second of the damn day, and they can't control it no more. But I will say, now with the UN meeting, you had all those world leaders there, right? All these world leaders there, right? Not one of them got up on that stage and made the announcement that these people are not really the true Israelites, that you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the true biblical Israelites. Not one of those nations stood up there to say that, man. And so all these nations are going to pay. Because that was the perfect opportunity to tell the world, hey, you know what? These people are not the people. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, that's in the Americas mostly, but scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, you are truly the biblical Israelites, and we apologize for what we've done to you. No, they haven't done that. That all the enemies. Matter of fact, Psalms 83, all those people was there at the UN meeting. These people were here. Let me get that real quick. They were there. Psalms 83. These are the enemies of the Lord, and they're your enemies as well, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Let me start from the top, verse 1. It says, a song or a psalm of Asaph. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. All those people that was at the UN meetings representing their particular country, those are all enemies of the Lord. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. All of them took part in the hiding of who you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans really are, which are the Israelites. Can't stress it enough, man. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Right? So when they talk, this scripture is talking about you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. These nations, they come together. The last thing they want, and don't think that they don't see the brothers on the streets, the highways and byways, and mainly today. On Saturdays, there's a lot more camps out, but they are throughout the week, and this video is going up every day. Brothers doing 3-4 videos a day type of deal. Apostle, he be on it, man. Apostle might be live for 2 hours, and then he'll be right back at the next hour doing a whole another lesson, and then the next hour after that, so the apostles, man, he's very diligent, man, and the men of GMS, they're generally, continually doing this work, man. And now it's not the time to be chilling out, It's time to, get to work for real, right? Okay, but it goes on to say, verse 5, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. And here's the nations right here, the tabernacles of Edom, which is the main tribe of the Edomites was this, the people that this guy Benjamin Netanyahu come from. That Israeli. Those are Edomites. They're no different than Trump. He's an Edomite. These Edomites, they calling themselves Europeans and all these different names. They're Edomites, man, and they're the #1 enemy of the Lord on this list. Now the Ishmaelites, those are the people that that's being persecuted over there in Gaza right now. So they're enemies of the Lord too. They're second on the list of Moab. That's so-called Chinese. You don't think that Chinese? You don't think China don't know? They got a history that goes back, a couple of thousand years. You don't think that they don't know this history about who the real Israelites really are? They know that, man. And they had that opportunity to talk about it, but they didn't. Right? The point is made right there, but it gives off, a list of other nations as well, because it does mention Amalek, the Amalekites. That's the people that's over there in the land right now, claiming to be the holy people. But they're not going to tell you where the other 11 tribes are at. Why did any of these leaders stand up at the at the UN meeting, and say, well, where are the other 11 tribes? Why didn't they stand up and say that, those Palestinians are actually Shemites themselves, which, Israel called them Semites. You're anti-Sem. Everybody's anti-Sem because, everybody is kind of coming up against them right now. Okay, well, let's get a little bit more of the article. It says, why the destruction of, well, we got that part. Let me see. Got that part. It says, parts of the reason is the systematic destruction of farmland by the Israeli military ground troops, who have demolished greenhouses. Bulldozers have toppled orchards, plowed out crops, and crushed the soil. And planes have sprayed herbicide over the fields. See, these people are destructive, man. Because even if you were going to just take the land over, you think that you want to keep the fields. Even the scriptures talks about that when it comes to war. Roughly paraphrasing, it talks about cutting down certain trees for, bulwarks and, sieges or whatever the case may be, fires, things like that or whatever. But, he said to keep the fruit trees. Don't cut the fruit trees down. That's just common sense, man. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that. Okay, here it is right here. This is the law. Deuteronomy 20:19. Let you know these people, man. They're imposters, man. These are not the people. It says, when thou shalt besiege a city a long time, and making war against it to take it, thou shalt not destroy the trees thereof by forcing an axe against them, for thou mayest eat of them, and thou shalt not cut them down, for the trees of the fields is man's life, to employ them in the seed. See? Only the trees which thou knowest that they be not trees for meat, thou shalt destroy and cut them down, and thou shalt build bulwarks against the city that maketh war with thee, until it be subdued. So, why would you be fucking with the fools, man? Why would you be, you know what I'm saying? And then, like I said again, if you're gonna overall, we know that it's, we know the results, but you're gonna take the land. When you want the fucking fruits, the olive trees, them trees been over there for fucking centuries, man. Some of them orchard, olive orchards have been over there, man, 1,000, 2,000 years, man, since the time that the Lord walked the earth. You can do a lot with olives, man. You can eat olives, you get oil out of them. It's a lot of different things. Just that one thing. Why would you be fucking with the farmland? Why would you do that? That lets you know how doofy these people are, and that they don't keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. Because if they did, this is one of the 5 books of the Torah, right? That they claim that they go by, but we know that they go by the Talmud, man. Anyway, let's see what else it says. Doofy, bro. Okay, it says, the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, justifies these attacks by claiming that Hamas often operates from within orchards, fields, and agricultural lands. This is stupid, man. And apparently from hospitals, schools, universities, and industrial estates, and any other resources on which the Palestinians depend. All the IDF needs to do is order to rationalize destruction, is to suggest that Hamas has operated or might operate from the thing it wants to destroy, and if there's no evidence, sorry, too late. And that's what they've been doing. I was just watching Euro News. They have this I think it's something love from Brussels or live from Brussels, but it's a European it's Euro News, you know, but they have these debates on Saturday or whatever, you know what I'm saying, where people sitting there giving their opinions and talks and stuff like that. But you know, they was even talking about this shit. Everybody is talking about Israel and what they're doing, man. So Benjamin Netanyahu, he's supposed to be meeting up with Trump Monday, which they both kind of made a damn fool. Well, Trump definitely made a fool of himself. Benjamin, he did too. But he was a little more articulate, you know what I'm saying, with his bullshit. But they supposedly be meeting up Monday, because them two was in bed together, man. You know, the rest of the world is looking at America and Israel like a pariah, man. You know, people not with that shit no more. They like, hey, you know, we not falling. That shit y'all doing, we not with. And then, you know, Trump, he's shitting on the allies. Okay, but it says the IDF is steadily expanding the buffer zone along Gaza eastern border, which happens to contain much of the Strip's agricultural land. As the human rights specialist Hamza Hamachin points out, rather than making the desert bloom, a mainstay of Israeli state propaganda is turning fertile and productive land into a desert. That's Esau. This is what he does, man. This is a part of who he is. He can't help himself. He's only doing what the Lord designed him to do, man. He can't help himself. Look at I don't care where these Edomites are. Wherever these Edomites are, is destruction, man. People are unhealthy. Again, you know, your air quality, your water quality, your food quality, your medicine quality. Even foods from the earth, they're meant to heal you. But here you go, this man, he destroys those things and he gives you something artificial to keep your ass coming back to his hospitals, man. And his doctors and shit like that. You know? So anyway, it says the Israeli government has been felling Palestinians' ancient olive trees for decades to deprive them of subsistence, demoralizing them and break their connection with the land. Olives are both materially crucial, accounting for 14% of the Palestinian economy, and are symbolically powerful. If there are no olive trees, there can be no olive branch. Israel's scorched earth policy, in conjunction with its blockade of food supplies, guarantees famine, man. And the world's seeing it on the world stage, man. The IDF's assault on Gaza has caused a collapse in water waste treatment. Raw sewage floods the land, seeps into aquifers, and poisons coastal waters. So it's not just that area. That shit is flowing off into other countries, man. The same thing has happened to solid waste disposal. Mountains of rubbish now rot and smolder among the ruins, or are pushed into informal waste dumps, leaching contaminants. Before the current assault, people in Gaza had access to about 85 liters of water per person per day, which, while sparse, meets the recommended minimal level. As of February this year, the average had fallen to 5.7 liters. That's nothing, bro. That shit is like drips. Gaza's crucial coastal aquifers is further threatened by IDF's flooding of Hamas tunnels with seawater. Salt intrusion beyond a certain point will render the aquifer unusable. Esau just doing what they do. The UN Environment Program estimated last year that on each square meter of Gaza, there was an average of 107 kilograms of debris from bombing and destruction. Much of this rubble is mixed with asbestos, unexploded ordnance, human remains, and toxins released by weaponry. Munitions contains metals such as lead, copper, manganese, aluminum compounds, mercury, and depleted uranium. These are credible reports of the IDF illegal using white phosphorus, a hideous chemical and incendiary weapon that also causes widespread contamination of soil and water. Toxic dust and smoke inhalation have major impacts on people's health. This man don't care. On top of the devastating immediate impacts of the lives of the Gazan people, the carbon emissions of Israel's assault are astronomical. A combination of vast direct emissions caused by the war and the staggering climate costs of the rebuilding Gaza, if that is ever allowed to happen. Reconstruction alone would produce greenhouse gases equivalent to the annual emission in a medium-sized country. When you consider the ecocide alongside the genocide, you begin to grasp totality of the Israeli state's attempt to eliminate both the Palestinians and their homeland. As the Palestinian ecologist argues, environmental degradation is not incidental. It is intentional, protracted, and aimed at breaking the eco-summit of Palestinian people. I've written very little over the years about the environmental impacts of the armed forces, as I feel that if you cannot persuade decision makers that killing people is wrong, you would never persuade them that killing other life forms is also wrong. I think many others have felt this way, the same way, which is one reason why the military tends to be excused the environmental scrutiny that other sectors have felt, but its footprint, even in peacetime, is enormous. The Conflict and Environmental Observatory estimates that the world's armed forces produce roughly 5.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Of course, is Esau. Motherfucker testing bombs, testing this, testing that, you know, flying goddamn jets and planes and doing all this shit. Hey, this man is going to be stopped soon. No, the Lord is about to stop this man. He's just letting him get to the height of of his sin, man. Because the children of Israel are crying out. The men of the Lord are crying out. You know, you should be crying out for justice, man. From this man. You know what I'm saying? You should be crying out to the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man, for the destruction of this man. That real righteousness will come back into the earth. That our Lord will come soon. And that we're part of the hopeful elect, man, and not, you know, left to this man's demise. Because if it was up to him, oh my, imagine another 25 years on this planet, man, with this man running shit. Nothing will survive. Everything right now is decaying, man. Right? So, just a little quick before camp lesson I wanted to do. I seen it. There's still some more to the article. But if you want to just look it up, any brothers that want to go into the this particular topic, you know, all you got to do is just put in overall Israel's ecocide in Gaza, you know, and it's the Guardian, so you know you should be able to just pull that right up. If you just Google search those particular words, it should pop right up, you know. So with that, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwame Yashala and a Bible Bar.